it's all manufactured outrage. Pete Hegseth has been talking to millions of people on air for every weekend for 6 years now. But because they nominated him for SecDef, all these new allegations that no one's ever heard of are coming out. Fat chance they're true.
How's it going with Trump right now? Is he so far standing by you, and have you spoken to him?
I spoke to him this morning, Megan. I mean, he's amazing. He's a fighter. He's been through this himself. And he told me the last thing he said to me, well, two things he said to me when I left his office when he chose me was, well, besides what he said about being a warfighter, we can get into that, was you're going to need to be tough as shit. You're going to need to be tough as shit.
This is how I know Pete Hegseth is the right guy, because all the people who have been taking all the taxpayers to the cleaners, all the people who got all the DEI they wanted, the folks that are profiting from the totally unaccounted for billions of dollars in defense spending, the mere fact that the media and the deep state is digging this far back and downright making stuff up about it, they realized that the infidelity story probably wasn't getting enough traction for them. It wasn't going anywhere. They tried to print one side of an email from his mother that she later apologized for and write, even though she said she regretted sending it. Almost no one ran her other side of that story. So now they're accusing him of being an alcoholic. And you know what this is? This is a page out of Pelosi's playbook. And if you don't believe me, she said it herself.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
Okay. I mean, her words, and what, 6, 8 years ago? Look, Pete's not dropping out. He said that today.
I spoke to the president-elect this morning. He said, keep going, keep fighting. Behind you all the way.
So you're in this all the way?
Why would I back down? I've always been a fighter. I'm here for the war fighters. This is personal passion for me.
So you're not withdrawing your name from consideration, just to be clear.
I'm meeting all day with senators.
You would think a credible news source attempting to politically assassinate the next Secretary of Defense would have people on the record about what they're accusing him, right? No. They cite 10 anonymous sources and never even bothered to reach out to his two co-hosts. One of them, Will Cain, tweeting, quote, I was not contacted by anyone at NBC News, and not one had a closer proximity than continuous basis, well, maybe Rachel Campos Duffy, since she sat between us. Rachel, the other co-host, then responded, the losers at NBC News never reached out to me either. Will Cain is right. Your story is horse bleep. You now have two people who sat next to him for 8+ hours a week on the record. Will you retract or correct your story? In fact, there are 19 people that work or have worked with Pete coming out on the record to refute these allegations by NBC, to defend him and say that these allegations are complete BS. But are any of these networks reporting that? No, of course not. You wonder why your ratings are crashing, MSNBC? That's why. And I have been calling these people out for the use of these bogus, totally anonymous sources that they have used to try to take down Trump for years.
Right. So I'm sitting here very quietly listening to all this BS, quite frankly. And did you listen to anything McMaster said today where he said, I was in the room, that didn't happen, nothing inappropriate was shared? You're basing all these allegations off of one or maybe two sources, which CNN reports. Two former officials knowledgeable of the situation confirmed to CNN that the main points of the story. Two former officials. Tell you what, come out, name those people, then we'll have something to talk about.
One, we protect sources. Two, it's not just CNN. It's Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, CNN, ABC,
yeah, but who
NBC.
Who are the sources?
Carl.
Who are the sources? Oh, because they're hiding behind this anonymity.
Oh,
and that's what we're seeing.
Please, do not even start with me that you're just going to attack sources.
Okay, so
that is ridiculous.
So are you saying McMaster is lying?
I'm not not saying McMaster is
Are you?
lying.
Well, he didn't really answer the question.
He didn't answer
He
the
said
question.
nothing inappropriate
He
was
said,
shared.
no, that's his opinion.
That would be.
But that's his opinion.
You cannot say, you cannot attack,
Yeah.
do not attack the stellar reporters of CNN
Okay.
who have their sources and
the
would protect
stellar
their sources.
reporters of CNN that I am going to attack right now and say, guess what? I don't believe them because they're staying anonymous. If they stand behind this story, come out, face the camera.
And I was right. That was 6-7 years ago. It's all the same report that all the networks run, and then everyone else piles onto that. Just like Pelosi said, they take 50 articles from the same original report and that say that, oh, look, everyone's reporting it. They did this with Russian collusion, where they funneled a fake dossier into the highest levels of the government, illegally, by the way, that they then used to start an investigation that they then reported on the investigation as a conviction and tried to take down a president of the United States with that. They're doing the same thing with Pete Hegseth, and I am not going to stand for it. Look, full disclosure, I know Pete. I really like the guy. And the alcohol claims, look, I've had a few beers with him on occasion. In fact, I don't even really drink that much, but the only times I have drank in the last 10 years was at my producer's wedding you see right there. It's also her birthday today. And that was like a few weeks ago. And at a military fundraiser with Pete. And we had a great time. And we had a bunch of beers. Was there a problem? No, there was not a problem. Does he have a problem? I certainly don't think so. Is he a liability? Absolutely not. But I find it incredibly rich that the same people crying foul about nameless allegations about him drinking here have said nothing, absolutely nothing about regular accusations of Nancy Pelosi drinking on the job sometimes. In fact, if you Google anything about her drinking, the same people standing by these anonymous sources, they rush to debunk anything about their precious Pelosi. Even some of those articles go so far to say that she doesn't even drink at all, which is not true. That is fundamentally not true. Or where was the same outrage when Kamala Harris came on camera and looked like this? We all thought the same thing here. No, they don't talk about that. The same media smearing Pete right now rushed to defend her, Kamala Harris, and she's still the sitting vice president. The media rushes to make this a partisan issue. Get lost. This better not taint the process. And to the senators that allegedly right now are not in support of Pete Hegseth right now, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John Curtis, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, John Thune. Why? Because you guys all, minus Curtis, who wasn't there at the time, you guys voted to confirm Lloyd Austin, the Democrat nomination for Secretary of Defense. That guy, as a general at the time, was responsible for the absolute abysmal botched Iraq withdrawal. That led to ISIS. So don't say that you don't, Pete's not qualified. You voted for that guy, face mask and face shield guy, that got us out of Afghanistan and it totally destroyed the American credibility on the globe. I'm so tired of these character assassinations. And the only way to make these people stop is to tell these people to pound sand and stop caring. You better give Trump the cabinet he wants, Republicans.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.